Well, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. The end of the war in Vietnam brought more than 50,000 refugees to Fort Chafee, where they began life anew as Americans. Channel 7's Andrew Mobley has some of their stories. Andrew.
For many Americans of mainland Southeast Asian descent, Fort Chafee is their Ellis Island. When the U.S. pulled its forces from Vietnam in 1975, it left behind many locals who had supported and fought alongside American soldiers, many of whom faced retaliation at the hands of the victorious North Vietnamese. Congress responded to the humanitarian crisis with the Indochina Migration and Refugee Assistance Act, which opened the door for refugees to enter the U.S. and become American citizens. The largest of the 4 entry points into the country was Fort Chafee, where the project was referred to as Operation New Life. On May 2, 1975, the first families arrived. Some were welcomed by none other than President Gerald Ford himself in August. Tremont Nguyen was just a few months old when she and her parents came to Fort Chafee.
It was a time for them to forget all the trauma that they had seen during the war in Vietnam and the bombings, the escape, all the terror, and just be able to be kids. And to have the elders have a moment to catch their breath while they try to figure out, wow, I'm in a new country. How am I going to go ahead and create a new life for me and my family?
Between May and December, over 50,000 refugees were processed through Fort Chafee and moved throughout the country, where sponsors or host families helped them get started in their new homes.
We ended up in St. Louis at first because of wonderful sponsor families from a Catholic parish here, St. Catherine La Brea. So they ended up sponsoring my entire family. And that's how we ended up in St. Louis. And they actually bought us a little tiny house.
Many who were children at the time still fondly remember Fort Chafee. Bok Pham was 9 years old when his family arrived there.
That's where our life started. And we started out with nothing. Like all 3 of us, our family had pretty much nothing. We just start from scratch. So we are very grateful for the American people, and this country just opened up their arm for us. And here we are today. All 3 of us just went back to Fort Chafee just a few weeks ago to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and it was very, very emotional.
Bok's cousin Tree Lee was 8 years old when his family got there. Seeing each other was a surprise. Many families didn't know if their relatives made it out of Vietnam. The 2 say for children like them, Fort Chafee felt like a family reunion.
I'm sure my parents were the one that were a lot more concerned because we didn't have any money, we didn't have anywhere, we have basically no future. Our impression is like, wow, we don't have to go to school, and all we did was just eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we hang out all day with cousin and just playing. We were introduced to the game of baseball, basketball, so we just out there playing the sports that we love, and that's how we became very fond of the American sport.
Speaking of sports, many of those descended from Vietnamese refugees at Fort Chafee have been very successful. Just recently, the son of a Fort Chafee refugee won the NBA championship playing for Oklahoma City Thunder. Jalen Williams, who not so long ago played for the Razorbacks. Legendary Cowboys linebacker Dat Nguyen was the first NFL player of Vietnamese descent. He was actually born at Fort Chafee.
It was all God's hands that I was a chance to experience what I experienced to represent the Vietnamese community. I know our stature is a little bit smaller than the requirement or the average measurable there in the National Football League. But, the heart speaks for a lot.
Many of the young refugees have gone on to find great success in America. Tree is not only a doctor, but years ago helped design infrared targeting systems for American F-16 fighter jets. Tremont is a multiple Emmy Award-winning journalist.
Look at where we started, so little, and look where we are now. It's inspiring.
When you look at the Vietnamese culture, you look at how so many guys or how many people we know that has been so successful in their life. And I think it's all through the opportunity. And I think we don't take that for granted. I think it's a given. It was basically gave us a chance to another life to come to America and to pursue dreams and opportunities.
And many Vietnamese Americans are some of the most patriotic citizens you'll find.
We've seen what happened to Vietnam. Vietnam used to be a free country, just like America right now. And we slowly lost it. It became communist. When the Viet Cong took over, we lost all that freedom. And then when we got another opportunity. God gave us this opportunity to be in this wonderful land, America. We're not going to let this happen again. So that's why we love this country so much.
Even though a lot of the refugees found homes far away from Fort Chafee in Arkansas, many stayed right here in Fort Smith, which has a thriving Vietnamese population of between 5,000 and 6,000 who have started Vietnamese churches, Buddhist temples, restaurants, and even a supermarket. Eric and Lily Nguyen own and operate Fort Smith's Pho Vietnam restaurant. Eric was an airman in the South Vietnamese Army who miraculously survived being shot by the Viet Cong and came to Fort Chafee as a refugee. Lily went to a refugee camp in Pennsylvania, and the two later met in Michigan, married, and moved to Fort Smith.
We've been in restaurant business it's almost 30 years.
Though it's better known as the place Elvis had his Army haircut, the Fort Chafee Museum also has a section devoted to its history as a refugee camp.
It is something that we want to share every day, and that will be through programs, through stories, possibly through exhibits and additions throughout the gallery.
Preserving Fort Chafee's history as a refugee camp is very important to those who started new lives there.
We just remember this place with a lot of great memory, a lot of loving, caring from the American people. It means so much to us.
That's where the Vietnamese Americans started, was in Fort Chafee, Arkansas.
And if you're ever in Fort Smith, got to try out Pho Vietnam. Fantastic food and tea and dessert is free. On your side, I'm Andrew Mobley.